in there and got that touchdown, and then another bad snap instead of going too short. This one was too high. These are plays that are so critical in a game. And unfortunately for the Salem Tigers, that cost them 14 points and actually cost them the ball game when you look at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the game as a whole, we tell the kids, I in my speech, when I talk pregame every time, that most football games, it comes down to 5 football plays. There's 5 football plays on one side of the ball or the other side of the ball that determines, a football game. And, our defense had done a pretty good job of bending but not breaking. And we put our defense in a real bad situation once, and our special teams gave up a touchdown. And anytime you do that, you have a tide swing. And the tide swung. That's a big tide swing in a football game like that. I was proud of our kids. After they went down 21-14, they turned right back around. I think it was 6 plays later, marched up the field and put another one in the end zone. And then they fought back with a 2-minute drill, and I was happy at the way our kids responded to fighting back.
Tristan Newman really had a good game going to the outside, Coach. He was really turning on the afterburners, and they could not catch him once he got to the end. And I really thought this was his best game I've seen him as running back in his football career.
Yeah, I mean, Tristan is, again, he's a kid that, played some wide receiver, a defensive player for us last year, and was a backup quarterback. And when you put the kid in a running back position, they've got to be able to, feel their way into that position because it's new. And, the more Tristan runs with the football, the more he's going to get at being able to see those things. What makes him a very good running back, from what we've seen so far through camp and the Jamboree in this season is his vision. He has great vision as far as cutting back and seeing those holes. And that peripheral vision that he has, allowing him to get that geometry angle to get to the pylon, is what makes him special. And like I said, he's another kid that's going to continue to develop as the season goes. And, again, last week, we're week 2. He stepped up his game, running the football for us, and we expect him to continue to do that.
We'll come back and talk about the defense at Dexter, and we return on Tiger Talk right after this.
We'll be back with more Tiger Talk after this.
Life can be dramatic, but day-to-day relationships aren't always like you see on TV. You can help the young people in your life work through the drama by engaging them in conversations about healthy relationships. Use Connect With Me activity cards to start discussions on this subject and other topics that matter to teens. Visit health.mo.gov/connect to access these free cards and resources.
A message from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Stan Stevens, Coach Brian McNamee, Coach Salem Tigers down at Dexter's. I thought their defense, as you were mentioning earlier in the first part of our Tiger Talk, bent and didn't break. I thought they'd had a very good game all around. I thought they were outstanding, especially in the first half on the pass, as their young quarterback, absolutely Peyton Driscoll, had nowhere to throw, and a lot of times actually was caught behind the line. And when you see an effort like that, where here's this kid in a throwing environment, has nobody open, I thought our defense did a great job.
Yeah, I thought our defense played well there in the first half. We had a couple new faces out there on the football field, and I was really pleased with that. Jordan Schultz was in his first start at defensive tackle for us, and he's a kid that's progressing. I mean, if you'd have been able to watch him this week in practice, he's a kid, came out first-year football player for us, playing defensive tackle, and he's still learning the game, but he's great speed off the ball. And he's got that closing speed to get back there. And he's got that long arm span to get it up in the air. I thought our linebackers flowed pretty well. And our secondary did a good job, like you said. I mean, the quarterback really didn't have anybody to throw the football to in the first half.
When you look at this game, and of course for the second week in a row, we see an offense come out and almost totally change their entire offenses. Hoggard and Strong took over in the back on I kind of call an option wildcat, because either one could take the snap. Both of these guys are big guys, and they're hard to bring down. We knew that going into the game, and boy, they showed how good a running back they could be. Not take anything away from our defense, but these guys are 2 quality running backs, and when they have the time to actually look and see those holes, I thought they did a good job of finding just enough room to get some first downs on some very good plays.
Yeah, and like I said, I alluded to those two running backs when we'd had our discussion last week on the talk show. Corbin Strong and the other running back, they are big, they are powerful, and they just run hard. I mean, they run the football like a linebacker is meant to play linebacker. And, if they had any seam whatsoever, they accelerated up into it with the power, of a linebacker. And they're tough. I mean, they were two very good running backs.
Give them credit, they bounced off a lot of, I thought, were solid tackles. They got hit, and then they would either lunge forward for maybe another yard or turn sideways and try and spin out and get that extra couple of feet. These guys are experienced running backs, Coach. A lot of times you hit a guy in high school and you hit him, you stop him right there. These guys would actually squirm for that extra couple of feet.
Yeah, like I said, Corbin's been starting for many years, for Dexter. And like I said, he plays linebacker, and he plays running back like he plays linebacker. He reminds me a lot of Sam Ball that we have, in the backfield when Sam runs the ball. Sam brings the game to you when he has the ball in his hand, and that's what those two running backs did. They're both backers, and when they got the ball in their hand, they weren't going to wait for you to come tackle them. They were going to bring the football to you.
I think one of the key plays in the game, Coach, came in the second half when Driscoll did go back in, and he would go in on passing situations. And it looked like we had him trapped in the backfield. He squirmed away from one would-be tackler, then went all the way back across the field. And our defensive back, reading this, kind of came up and left the Kenley boy all alone, and he hits him with a pass. That was kind of a backbreaker because it looked like we were really going to shut him down, get the ball back in great field position, and give credit to Driscoll. He saw him out there. He was wide open, and he made the pass.
Yeah, like I said, our defense did a great job putting heat on him. We thought we had him pinned back there, and he reversed his field, ran the other direction, and our corner decided to come up on the run instead of staying with his man. And that's a lesson he learned. That's hopefully we won't see that mistake again. That was a kid that this is his first year starting for us out there at corner, and he learned the hard way. But again, it was we tried to use that as a learning experience for him. And like I said, it was that point in the game where we pin him down there, we get the ball back in good field position. So I would say it was one of them 5 plays that you put on your hand as that turned the game around and put it in Dexter's hands. We learn from it, we move on. But again, our defense did a great job. I want to go back to that because we had him pinned, and had we stayed with that receiver, we had guys closing, on that quarterback, and he wouldn't have got more than a few yards. But we move on.
Yeah, but as a young kid, I was very impressed that he had the wherewithal to actually even throw the ball, Coach, because a lot of times they'll just put their head down and run, and, that was either a great heads-up play by him or somebody told him, hey, just throw the ball. You never know what's going to happen, and it was a big play for Dexter. But I tell you what, their receivers were very good. I thought we did a great job on the Gargis kid. That kid was a quality receiver. He only had 2 catches on the night, but I'm going to tell you something. I thought we defended him extremely well, and I think that was Boone Schrader's guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Boone did a great job. And like I said, on that play with quarterback, he dropped his shoulder and rolled the other direction, and that was some maturity on his part for a small kid, because that's something you have to teach a quarterback to do. And, when he rolled outside, the pressure like that rolls away. That was a good play. And like I said, Boone played a great game on their receiver. And like I said, I thought we did some things well. There's some things that we did really well, and there's some things that, we have to work on improving upon. And that's what we focused on this week.
And I don't think, people not being in Dexter didn't see it, but this offensive line of Dexter, these guys were huge. And, they really gave the Tiger defensive down linemen and linebackers a handful. And I thought we did a good job, like you mentioned, earlier on. We bent, we didn't break, but, man, that's a battle. And every time you got to go battle those guys, Coach, that wears you out. I know our guys were taxed a little bit in that fourth quarter, but they hung in there and played hard, and I got to tip my cap to them.
Yeah, like I said, I think I said last Thursday, I talked about their offensive line. They are very big, and they were seasoned, and that's the key word, seasoned starters that played up here against us in that district game. And, we knew going into the ball game that they were going to be a handful. They're big and they could move. And, with our defensive line, we told them to keep fighting the battle, bend but don't break. And, for the most part, I think we had to bend but don't break to where we needed it to be. It was just so happens, you have those two mistakes on special teams that kind of turn the tide of that ball game around, and you can't do that against a good football team.
You can't change momentum sometimes when it goes the wrong way. All right, Coach, let's come back and talk about Houston when we return with Tiger Talk right after this.
We'll be back with more Tiger Talk after this.
What's the fastest way for you to get yourself up to date on the latest in news, sports, weather, and obituaries that costs you absolutely nothing? It's Your World Today. Serving Salem and Dent County now for over 20 years, Your World Today is 4 pages of information that will take you about 5 minutes to read, and they're available in over 30-plus locations in Salem and in Bunker. Your World Today. Pick one up every weekday. They're free.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Salem Tigers and Houston Tigers will battle it out tonight in the opening of the SCA conference play. And, Coach, this is a very different Houston Tigers. Last year was a nail-biter in Houston. This year we expect this thing to be a slugfest between these two Tiger teams as Houston has vastly improved.
They're a very good football team. After we've watched film on them, and I said prior to the season I thought Houston was going to be one of the better teams in the SCA. They had a strong core returning on the offensive line. They had a very good running back returning and an experienced quarterback. These guys have come out 2-0. It's probably one of the best Houston teams I've seen. Really get after it on offense and defense. They've changed their defense up some. They're in a 3-5 now. And they're aggressive. They run out of what I like to call an F package out of shotgun, similar to some of the spread sets that we have. They've got some really nice offensive linemen. They've got a boy that moved in from Mountain View Liberty that was an all-conference lineman. And, they're solid. They've got a solid line. They love to run the football. If you look at the stats on them, for the last 2 weeks, I think they're starting running backs averaging around 200 yards a game. And on defense, they come and get you. And they've got an experienced group of kids. Some of those kids on that team got 3 years of Friday night experience. He had some injuries 3 years back, and he had to play a lot of these young kids, and they got that Friday night experience. They were starters last year, had a pretty good season last year. And, they're back with those kids as seniors, and they're a very good football team.
One of the things that in seeing some of the highlights with Houston is they seem to be much more versatile than they used to be. It seems like they have a few more weapons or choices that they can make on offense, Coach, that I really don't remember Houston having before.
No, like I said, they've got their quarterback in Burchett. They got the running back Peyton Dixon, who's very fast. He was their leading rusher last year. And they have newcomer this year. His name's Daniel Hutchison. He's a sophomore. He was a freshman last year, played some outside backer and a lot of special teams for him. He's a big back. I mean, he's 6'3", 215 pounds, and he possesses that speed as well. You watch him in his films, running through 2 or 3 tackles and dragging people another 5 or 6 yards. One play we saw, he drug a kid 5 or 6 yards into the end zone. And you've got those short, big linemen that like to pull. He pulls a lot, and he pulls guards, he pulls tackles, he does counter tray, and this big back gets behind him and just follows it. Very impressive ground game. And then when they lull you to sleep with that ground game, they've got a couple real nice receivers that can catch the football, and they'll throw some multiple stuff at you. Their fullback, or F-back, what we call him, he plays some tight end too, Sawyer. He 5'10", 205-pound kid. He's got good size. But, yeah, they got a lot of weapons.
When you take a look at this, and obviously you've got to prepare a defense to fight this kind of versatility, what does the Salem Tigers need to do on defense to slow this Houston Tiger team down?
We've got to hold the line of scrimmage, and our backers have to fill. Number 14 is a good back, and number 11, Peyton Dixon. Dixon and Hutchison our two different backs. You know, Peyton is fast, he's quick, you know, and Hutchison is big and powerful. You know, we've got to stop them before they get going. You know, we can't let them get to level 2. Mm-hmm. You know, we got to read our keys from the linebacker position. You know, our defensive line can't get too deep. We've got to take on the counter tray and the pulling guards, you know, and stop the train before the train gets going. Because, like I said, once that train gets moving, it's a load.
Defensively, what is Houston going to show the Salem Tigers, or do we really know yet?
Well, like I said, you know, we watched the Cuba film on them, and, you know, Cuba lined up in a spread, empty sets, diamond sets, 5 wide, and, you know, they played a defense against that you'd play against a spread team. You know, against Sarcoxy, who was a very good football team. I think they were 9-3 last year with, I think, 5 and 6 returning. They ran an option type set. It was out of a 2x2, a flex bone. And they were in a 3-5, you could call it a 5-3, you know, it just depends on which coach is looking at it, you know, right. But they had stacked backers on stacked tackles with 2 outside backers flying to the ball, played 1 safety over top. You know, they showed that set a couple times against Cuba when they were inside the goal line and they were in a run set. So we're pretty sure that's what they're going to be in. You know, it puts a lot of people in the box to slow down a ground game.
Okay, sounds like we have the idea how to do it. Now, this is a big night. This is the opening SCA play, so these games are very important for the SCA conference. Coach, I think the conference this year is going to be extraordinarily tight, and I couldn't tell you who's going to win the SCA.
No, it's going to be a real tight race this year. You know, all the teams out there have come off with some big wins. You know, you look at Kabul, you look at Willow Springs, you know, Mountain Grove, you look at you know, Mountain View Liberty, and you look at Thayer. I mean, it's going to be a tight race. You know, it's going to, you know, in the SCA, I've always said this. It's a lot different than some of the football we see some other. I mean, it's old town smash mouth football. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to take it this direction, and they're going to take it that direction. You know, and it's a ground and pound it. You know, it's rough football. It's not the finesse stuff that you see in other parts of the state. And, you know, I think injuries will play a big part, you know, in how the SCA turns out this year. You know, what team can stay healthy. And then, again, every team in the SCA that's out there is fighting for a shot. And I think it's going to come down to which team plays clean and which one doesn't make mistakes.
All right, Coach. We wish you the very best of luck tonight in your opening SCA game against the Houston Tigers. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Tiger football, it is next.
You've been listening to Tiger Talk, heard before every Salem Tiger football game with Stan Stevens and Coach Brian McNamee.
Did you know there's a community health center in Rolla that offers medical, dental, and behavioral health? Your community health center is focused on you. We offer high-quality, patient-centered care to everyone in our community. From dental clinics to back-to-school physicals, your community health center is here for your family. To schedule your next appointment, call 573-426-6718 for the dental clinic and 573-426-4455 for medical. Building your community, your health.
What's the fastest way for you to get yourself up to date on the latest in news, sports, weather, and obituaries that costs you absolutely nothing? It's Your World Today. Serving Salem and Dent County now for over 20 years, Your World Today is 4 pages of information that will take you about 5 minutes to read, and they're available in over 30-plus locations in Salem and in Bunker. Your World Today. Pick one up every weekday. They're free.
Open a Progressive Ozark Bank checking account today and receive a free stadium blanket. Progressive Ozark Bank makes switching banks easy with 3 great checking accounts to choose from. You will also receive a new debit card the same day you open your account, issued instantly with no waiting. Plus, enjoy free internet banking, free mobile deposit, free bill pay, and enroll in e-statements and receive cash back. Banking with us is a refreshing experience. Progressive Ozark Bank, FDIC insured, an equal housing lender.
It's now time for the Salem Tiger football pregame show on KSMO Radio and online at KSMORadio.com, featuring Tiger Talk with Coach Brian McNamee and Stan Stevens. Tiger Talk comes up next in just a moment.
Fairground Auto Plaza in Rolla is proud to offer those who serve our country with a military